Crime and Punishment, the completely unofficial diary of Raskolnikov voiceover script. Cover: My name is Raskolnikov. I am a university student. I am intelligent. I am ambitious. And, unfortunately, I am terrible at making decisions. This is the story of how one bad idea changed my life forever. Page 1. Before we begin, here are some important words. Crime, punishment, guilt, conscience, poverty, suspect, confession, investigation, morality, redemption, anxiety, justice. These words will follow me throughout this story. Trust me, some of them followed me everywhere. Page 2. I lived in a tiny room in St. Petersburg. I barely had any money. My clothes were old. My shoes were worn out, and my future looked uncertain. Every day, I worried about bills. Every day, I worried about food. And every day, I became more frustrated. At the time, I believed my biggest problem was poverty. I was wrong. Page 3. One afternoon, I walked through the city thinking about my life. The more I thought, the more unhappy I became. I felt trapped. I felt powerless. And then a dangerous idea entered my mind. At first, it seemed impossible. Then it seemed interesting. Then it seemed reasonable. That was the moment everything started to go wrong. Page 4. Part of me knew the idea was terrible. My conscience warned me. Again and again, but another part of me kept arguing. It kept telling me that extraordinary people could break ordinary rules. The more I listened to that voice, the more confident I became, and confidence can be dangerous when your idea is foolish. Page 5. I began making plans. I thought about every detail. I convinced myself that I was being logical. I convinced myself that I was being clever. In reality, I was only becoming more blind to the consequences. Looking back, I wish I had stopped. Page 6. Then the terrible idea became reality. In a single moment, everything changed. The problem was not what happened. The problem was what happened afterward. Because no matter where I went, I could not escape myself. Page 7. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't relax. I couldn't stop thinking. Every sound made me nervous. Every knock on a door made me jump. The guilt grew stronger every day, and no matter how hard I tried, my conscience refused to stay silent. Page 8. Soon I became suspicious of everything. Every stranger looked dangerous. Every conversation sounded suspicious. Even ordinary situations felt threatening. The truth is, I was not afraid of other people. I was afraid of myself. Page 9. Thankfully, I still had a friend, Razumikin. He was loyal, optimistic, and far more sensible than I was. He tried to help me. He tried to encourage me, but I kept pushing him away. Sometimes the people who need help most are the people least willing to accept it. Page 10. Then I met Porfiry, an investigator. He seemed friendly, calm, relaxed, but there was something unsettling about him. Every question felt important. Every conversation felt like a test. And, somehow, he always seemed one step ahead. Page 11. Our discussions became psychological battles. Porfiry talked about crime, justice, morality, and human nature. Sometimes I felt he was speaking directly to me. Sometimes I felt he already knew the truth. The pressure kept growing, and so did my fear. Page 12. During this difficult time, I met Sonia. She listened when nobody else could. She showed kindness when I expected judgment. She gave me something I had almost lost: hope. For the first time in a long while, I started believing that change might still be possible. Page 13. Eventually, I reached a decision. I could continue hiding, or I could face the truth. It was the hardest choice of my life, but I finally understood something. A secret does not become lighter when you carry it longer. So I confessed, and for the first time, I felt free. Page 14. Punishment followed, but something unexpected happened. The punishment was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one. Slowly, I started to change. Slowly, I started to understand myself, and slowly, I learned that redemption is possible, even after terrible mistakes. Page 15. Looking back, I learned many lessons. Actions have consequences. Guilt is powerful, honesty matters, people can change, and redemption is possible. My name is Raskolnikov. This was my story. And if there is one lesson I want you to remember, it is this. One bad decision can change your life, but one good decision can change it again.